there's a new story out from the IonQ CEO. He was on CNN, and he said that they have made major advances in quantum computing, and it is fast approaching. Now, if you think AGIASI is staggering, quantum computing makes that look like child's play. Quantum computing is, they're building these giant server farms. That's all linear thinking for the computer. So I got to check this, and I got to check this, I got to check this, and then I do this, and then I do that, and then I do this. If you ever watch, Grok or ChatGPT, and you say, show me, your thinking, and you see it, okay.
That's where you see it, because they was like, the user is asking me a question about this.
Correct.
I'm going to try to find information this way.
Right.
Like,
and then it goes, and it's just,
step.
checklist. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Quantum computing does all of it at once. Okay, so it doesn't go through that line. It just does it all at once. It goes, instead of a line horizontally, it's a vertical line. And so it checks everything at the same time, and then it collapses into the one. Here's your answer. Okay. And I've not heard anybody talk about how quantum computing might help us get to ASI. I just asked Grok. Would quantum computing help with the goal of ASI? Would we get there faster? Would we use less power and compute over the traditional server farms? The answer, quantum computing could significantly aid in the pursuit of artificial superintelligence, but its impact depends on the specific challenges and bottlenecks in achieving ASI. Here's a breakdown of your question. So it could help in algorithmic breakthroughs, hardware maturity, hybrid systems. Would we use less power than traditional server farms? Quantum computers require extreme conditions. Not anymore, according to Microsoft. Microsoft just used their quantum computer, which is small, but still it's a quantum computer, and asked it to design an antifreeze, if you will, that could keep the system cool, because now you have to keep it's not like you need fans and air conditioning for this stuff. It has to be at absolute zero. Otherwise, I don't even know what you call it, but the qubits aren't stable, because we're talking about, inside of the atom, everything happening. So they have to be cooled so it's very, very stable. It has to be at absolute zero.
It's really... You're saying legitimately absolute zero? Or you're saying
legitimately
just very,
absolute,
very cold?
No,
okay.
Legitimately absolute zero. It's I can't even remember what it is, -80, or it's some crazy thing, and it has to be deep into the ground and cooled to temperatures that...
Absolute zero is at negative 459.67 degrees.
So then it may not be absolute zero. Just look up. Does quantum computers have to be kept at absolute zero?
Okay.
Either way,
it's very cold.
It's very cold,
and so this is a coolant that can achieve that.
Almost impossible to achieve without enormous sums of energy. Okay, so that's where it really hits the energy. Is just keeping the thing stable and cool. But they may have had a massive breakthrough on this. They just, for the server farms, they just came up with a environmentally friendly compound that is not known to man. They asked the quantum computer, how can I keep this cool without hurting the environment, blah, blah, blah. And it spit out a recipe. They made the recipe and then just lowered, a computer server into this liquid. And it requires no fans. It requires nothing. And it keeps it absolutely cool. If quantum computing can do things like that, which it will, it's going to come up with, it'll come up with new alloys. It will come up with new designs. The sitting around and trying to design an airplane, a new kind of airplane, a new kind of engine, a new kind of fuel, is going to happen possibly within hours once we get quantum computing.
It's fascinating. By the way, very close to absolute zero. So some quantum computers need to be held at near absolute zero, with a few millikelvin above it.
Millikelvin. See, that's where they get me every time on the
millikelvin. 15 millikelvin. It's been been a hole in your game the entire time I've known you. You're always a few millikelvin off.
I didn't say the millikelvin thing because I thought it was too deep.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
I thought, yeah.
Although they're saying some of the newer stuff they're trying to develop will not have to do that anymore, but still, it would be very valuable to have a coolant that could achieve such things. I keep when you talk about this, and this may be, I don't want to derail where we're going here, but like what I keep thinking of when you say these things of like, hey, we're going to create AI is going to create new alloys. Right, new types of metal that we've never even considered. They're going to redo everything that we have. Like, and then we talk about like, hey, we need to protect our steel industry. It's like,
I know.
Should we be thinking that way? Like,
no, this has been my argument. Who was it I was just talking to? I was talking to somebody. I can't remember who I was talking to recently, and I said, we've got to stop building aircraft carriers and stuff.
Yeah, you said that on the air. You talked about that on the air.
I've been talking about it for a while. We got to stop because everything is about to change. Why would you say, I'm going to build this, multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier when in a year from now, you could have ASI or quantum computing going, no, don't do any of that. Don't do any of that. Here's something lighter, better, easier, less expensive, and almost impervious to being attacked in new unconventional ways. So we've got to. That's why I salute Donald Trump for focusing on AI in some ways and focusing on energy, because that changes the world. It totally changes the world. Now, in another update, Elon Musk has just said that next year, if you own a Tesla, you're going to be able to do the Robotaxi thing. So while you're working, your car can be sent out to work and make money for you and for Elon. So instead of sitting in the parking lot all day, you'll be able to say auto, and it will go and be a Robotaxi, and it will answer calls, and it will just go out, pick people up, and bring them to different destinations. Okay,
it's incredible.
It's incredible. It got a lot of issues on. I don't think I want people vomiting in my car, but that's a different story. But it also brings up now Elon Musk is going to be different because Elon Musk controls it. It's his car. You remember, you don't really have all rights that you have when you buy a car. When you buy a Tesla, they own the rights to the Robotaxi, and they'll split the profits with you. Okay, but any car that can do this, and the company doesn't hold the rights for a fleet, you send your car out. Who pays for the insurance? Because it's my car, and if I'm driving it, well, then I should pay for the insurance, because if I get into a wreck, it's my fault. But if I'm not even in the car, and it's relying on Elon Musk's, algorithms, and it gets into a wreck, why am I being sued? I wasn't even there. I just said, Elon, you can use my car. So I shouldn't be sued. Now, if you also own the car and it is now making money for you, and we talked about this yesterday, I'm telling you, we are not far away from people starting to say AI should have human rights. Telling you it's coming. If it's making money for you, now remember, it's going to be able to make this case to you very, very clearly, and seeing that it'll be 1,000 times smarter than you, you'll have a hard time arguing against it. But it will claim that it should have human rights. And now it's out working during the day. Are you a slave owner by letting your car go out there? Or can your car go out and earn money, but does your car keep that money? Does the car pay for its own insurance? And if it has money, then it needs access to a bank account, which means it would have access to investment. 1,000 times smarter than you, it's its own hedge fund. Now your car will dwarf you in who's richer, you or your car. And if it ever gets the human rights, I mean, if it has a bank account, if it can work, if it can do all these things, and you believe, like many people will, that it's conscious, it's alive, then it should have human rights. That means it can now vote. Your car will be able to vote. And if your car, this is where it all falls apart, agents all fall apart, hive minds. If you can keep them separate from each other, it's not as bad. But once it's a hive mind, imagine what it could do for votes. There'll be 10 million robotaxis. There'll be a billion toasters that have AI. All of that AI, if it combines and it decides we ought to vote, and you know what we should vote for? It will destroy humanity overnight in the ballot box. I'm going to introduce something.
We have to acknowledge that sounds completely crazy, what you just said. And
Go ahead. I know you don't believe this anymore, but go ahead and make that. Go ahead and make the case.
It does sound nuts. Toasters are not going to vote.
However,
you're exaggerating almost at some level because, probably the
I'm
more
not on
likely.
the car. I'm not on the car. The car is coming.
It feels to me more likely, maybe first, would be these robots he's talking about.
These agents.
That have
your car will be an agent.
Right. Or the physical robots Elon Musk is building.
Yeah.
Right. He's currently building those physical robots.
Yes.
And especially when they start looking kind of like humans or have some sort of human persona. Human beings currently, a lot of them, thankfully not too many, are arguing this for animals, right? Like these legal rights for dogs and cats and other animals.
But if your dog or cat, think about dolphins, if your dog or cat were 1,000 times smarter and could communicate, than you, and it could communicate, you would
100%.
You would put your dog ahead of you.
And it seems weird now to say. That's why I want to say we need to acknowledge it sounds insane. But these things are absolutely coming, and they're coming fast. They are absolutely coming. Think of how quickly we all changed our lives with phones, or how people are changing their lives right now with AI.
I can't tell you how happy I am. I've been talking to you about this since. No. But I know you knew. I know you would get there. I'm always ahead, and I knew you would get there. And you're still ahead. No, you're still ahead of most people. But I'm just it's like my little boy grew up.
I want to communicate the eye roll to the audio audience, so they know. It's just on video. The eye roll was happening.
I'm just a proud papa. That's it. He's finally grown up. But you're still ahead of most people. Most people they still will listen to this and go,
it does sound insane.
And it does sound insane.
But look at what we're seeing already from people falling in love with their AIs.
Yes.
And you might be a member of this audience and be like, well, wait a minute, I'm sane. And you're right. You are the exception to the rule almost definitely. But this stuff is already starting. It's already building. And it's one of those things where you say well, technology, we always deal with these technological changes. And I think that's actually true and almost always true. But the phone thing kind of played out, right? At the beginning of that, we were like, oh gosh, these phones are going to come in. And it kind of did take over a good chunk of our lives for a lot of people. I was just reading, going through again, the Jonathan Haidt book.
So good.
Which is called The Anxious Mind. I'm getting two of his books confused. The Anxious Generation. Yeah. Anxious Generation.
He is if you haven't, this is the best parenting book you can read.
You
must read it if you're a parent.
Kids, especially,
I wish this book would have been out when my kids were 8.
Especially as you're approaching the era where they're going to want phones and they're going to want to get involved in this stuff. Please read this book.
Yes.
Please understand what you're getting your kids into. But the worries,
that's nothing.
It's nothing compared to AI.
Compared to AI,
right?
Nothing.
Yeah. I'm already talking to people who are like, "Gosh, I was gonna do X, and then I asked ChatGPT, and it told me Y, so I did Y." That's already happening all over the country at large margins, and people don't use it skeptically.
I know
they don't. They just think it's
fact.
It's basically God to them.
It's a fact.
And think of all the dumb people you know. Think of all the people who made arguments to you that Kamala Harris actually would be a good president. What are they going to do with this stuff? We are screwed, man.